With all the big calls on all the big races, it's time for another What a Shout, brought to you by our sponsors Bet365, the Racing Post flagship feature weekend show, filmed somewhere in the capital on a Friday morning. If the flat season wasn't hotting up, it is now. My goodness gracious me, 9 cards to bring you on Saturday. Domestic action, of course, on Sunday over at the Curragh. It's all about the Irish Oaks, isn't it? We've got a great panellist for you, superb guests coming up. Let's get into the show. Don't forget to thumbs up, like and subscribe on YouTube, of course. Anything on Facebook, get involved, and hashtag What a Shout on Twitter. Right, myself, Dave Orton, joined by Paul Kealy. Lucky to have you a few mornings in a row at the moment, Kills, and it was a good weekend last weekend.
Yeah, it was good, yeah. I mean, it's one of those, we call it Super Saturday or Silly Saturday, given how much racing there's on. I always think it's silly going into it, but then thoroughly enjoy it when it's there.
And you saved the best for last.
I did, yes. Got alcohol-free home. There's a few disappointments early. Well, a few annoying results earlier. Bless him winning.
Oh, don't.
Oh, well, I love that horse. But no, alcohol-free was brilliant, wasn't he? She doesn't get the credit she deserves, I don't think, really, because now she's won Group 1s in 3 different seasons. She was winning Group 1s over a mile on heavy ground last year, and she's actually won very easily against the best sprinters we've got in the July Cup on really lightning fast ground. I mean, how versatile do you want to Philly to be? She's great.
Fair play is a lesson for us all there, to keep the faith. Whatever you make of last Saturday, the final hour, covering it live as I was, it was exciting.
Yeah,
bosh.
Of course it was. There's loads of great races, there's no doubt about it. You can have that every week, you wouldn't moan, would you?
Yeah.
But I mean, we move on 7 days on, and we're going to preview some races here. Now, I believe there's some decent betting heats, but the races themselves are nowhere near as interesting as they were a week ago, are they?
No.
One of those cards, say York could have moved here, and it was sat there, and it would take pride of place on this particular day, wouldn't it? And you'd have your backups from Newbury and Market Rasen rather than those taking centre stage.
Jumping hat on,
Jumping hat, yeah.
It does seem a bit insane. I actually
back to winner at Worcester last night, so I'm in the groove.
You filthy animal. Absolutely. I see. That's why you warmed up for it, was it? Now, he's still on the road. I don't know what's going on at Pat Cooney, but Pat's still not allowed back. Where are you, Patrice?
Yes, good morning. I'm in Thatcham, about 15 minutes away from Newbury Racecourse. We sponsor on Friday and we sponsor 3 races on the Saturday. So looking forward to that. Be a bit of a mini heat wave, it looks like, on Saturday, though.
Busy week, Pat. You're at Newbury then. Lots said about this final race on Saturday, wasn't it? Of course, if you're not sure what we're talking about, there is no final race on Newbury Saturday's card. The prize money wasn't deemed enough. The trainers have, we believe, boycotted the race. Pat, from a bookmaking point of view.
Yeah, it's hugely disappointing, isn't it? And I see both sides of it. You do look at the nature of the race. It would ordinarily it should have more prize money to it. The trainers get together and decided to boycott the race. No one ever normally wins in this sort of scenario, given the economic crisis we're in at the moment. But their point has been very well made, and I'm sure it'll be addressed. But I say we sponsor 3 races Saturday, 1 on Friday. And our prize money levels are good. And in fact, we were complimented at Newmarket last week with the money we put into the likes of the Bunbury Cup and the Superlative Stakes. So, yeah, it can be done. But it's all about trying to attract the sponsorships and just trying to get this prize money up.
Yeah, more sponsorship from Bet365 coming on Saturday as well. It's hard. Look, we work for the Racing Post. You try and be as independent on both sides. Switzerland, if you like, sometimes you've got to be. I find it hard not to support this, what they've done, the Trainers Federation.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I mean, look, it's a Grade 1 track, and Newbury does put some very poor prize money on at times. I mean, not always, but I always harken back to over jumps. The Challow hurdle, the money for a Grade 1 there is terrible. It's not the only Grade 1 over hurdles. It isn't Sandown's Tolworth hurdles poor as well. But if you're gonna, it's a Saturday card. It's a live televised card. Okay, that race wouldn't have been televised on terrestrial TV, but it's still a big Saturday card. They're expecting massive crowds because they've got a concert there afterwards. Bits of it are already sold out. So why not put some money on for, Grade 1 money for a Grade 1 track? Simple as that.
Yeah, all right, there we go. We've had our word here on What a Shout. What do you think about it all? Let us know below. You can do that, of course. Let's have a look what exactly we've got coming up for you on this. Yes, it's another classic weekend, of course. We'll be giving you the big race previews after. Thrilled to say that Jessica Harrington has agreed to come back onto the show. She's got a big run in the feature race at the Curragh at 3:45. A Royal Ascot winner again for Jessie. We'll catch up with her and the team. And then after the previews, of course, those all-important weekend winners. Well, Absolutely thrilled to tell you that Jessie Harrington joins us back here on What a Shout. We spoke to Jessie last year, another really good year. Jessie, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Looking resplendent as ever, and so you should be running a 23% strike rate in the last 2 weeks. 31 up for the year, a couple of winners at Killarney early in the week. Royal Ascot winner as well. How's it going?
Oh, well, look, everything's going, it's great at the moment, and we're absolutely thrilled with the way the horses are running. You know, and when they're running good, everybody's happy in the yard.
The sun is shining, so long may it continue. Now, you've got an interesting runner in Britain, of course, that we'll get to. But let's have a look at your Saturday runners in total. In the 130, you run a newcomer called Pigeon House, with an interesting pedigree.
Pigeon House, yes, he's a Saxon Warrior colt. And he ran in a barrier trial there 10 days ago. A little bit over, and ran very well. And we just think it's time for him to get started. He's a nice, strong colt, and I think 7 furlongs is a great place to start him.
Do you run all your 2-year-olds in barrier trials these days, Jessie? It's something that we don't do publicly over here, of course. You can find it, viewers out there. If you go out onto Google, you can find all these barrier trials and watch them.
I like them a lot. I've used them ever since they came in Ireland. And I find them great, not to sort of go and win a barrier trial, but just on an education for the horse. And it's, you know, a great practice. And Dundalk put them on. I would actually like it to have a few more, especially in the spring of the year. But I think they find them difficult enough to put them on because of the facilities that, you know, they have to have stalls, handlers, ambulances. Then there's a video recording of them. So it's very professionally done. And I just find them very good for educating horses.
That's interesting. Now, you come over to Britain in the summer plate. You've got Rapid Response, who, on her best form, Jessie, I'm looking at that win at Punchestown, where she beat a pretty good mare. She wouldn't be out of this. What's the entry about, first and foremost?
Well, it's just we need, you know, that's a graded handicap. And we want to get a bit more black type in her. And also, you know, she wants good ground. And she needs all of that distance. And so we just thought it was an opportunity to run her there. Hopefully, over here, she could, in those races, some of the time she has top weight, especially in the mares races. So it's just an opportunity for her. She'll like the flat track. And I think she likes going right-handed. So I'm hoping that she'll run a big race.
All right, then. That's the highlight over jumps. Yes, I know we're in scorching the middle of the summer, but there is a big jumps race, and Rapid Response, not without a chance, is being backed with Bet365 as well, I should show you. Let's go to the showpiece of the Curragh this weekend then, Jessie, at 3:45. We've got 2 runners in the Irish Oaks. It must have been an absolute thrill in what was the freshest of breath airs we've ever had at Royal Ascot. I think with all the crowds back, no restrictions, the weather was absolutely superb, when Magical Lagoon won the Ribblesdale for you.
We were absolutely thrilled. You know, she'd proven last year that she was a good horse. She'd won a Group 3 2-year-old race. We'd taken her to the Fillies Mile, and she didn't really handle Newmarket that well. And she was only her 3rd run of her career, and she was just a bit all at sea. And then this year, the plan was always to go to Salsa Bill in Navan over a mile and a quarter, and she just got beaten there, literally didn't quite get up on the line. We then decided that we wouldn't go to the Oaks because we weren't certain she'd come down the hill in Epsom. And we took a decision then to take her straight to the Ribblesdale, and it paid off. And she stays every yard of the mile and a half. And they went a good gallop, and she was very gutsy.
Her previous win came at the Curragh. You're drawn in stall 8. She showed at her first trial at a mile and 4. She's half-sister to Novelist, didn't she, who's a King George winner, so it's all there on paper. You'd have to think that longer straight of the Curragh, she showed a great attitude in battling back to see off the Haggis filly, didn't she? You have to think that this will be absolutely ideal.
Well, we'd hope so. Drawn 8, I don't mind. There's only eight runners in it. She's not going to be stuck out. She's going to be out wide. She likes a bit of space around her. No doubt that, you have to fear, Emily Upjohn is the class animal in the thing. She's already been second in an Oaks, very unlucky not to win it. She's coming over here with the highest rating and got the form on the book. And you also have to respect Aidan's runners. He's very good at getting his fillies to suddenly improve and suddenly become Group 1 winners. So it's no pushover. It's going to be a very competitive race.
I think you're going to be a popular pick, Jessie, because there's a horse called Life of Dreams who Emily Upjohn beat by 5 lengths in the Musidora, way behind you in the Ribblesdale. So I don't know. She's 2's on at the moment, Emily Upjohn. I don't know. I think you're going to give her a race personally. You've got Fenella in the race as well. Tell us about this one. She came good last time out.
Yeah, she's only won a maiden. She's the most beautifully bred filly. She's out of Green Door. I never can remember either one or the other. I should remember because it was the Mel Stakes, which was named after her last night in our honour. And she's a half sister to Forever Together and Together Forever. She's and Lord Shannakill. She's a beautifully bred filly. She was always in the Oaks, and after she won her maiden over a mile and a half, we said, well, why not give it a chance? If she could get placed, it would be absolutely amazing. She's a very genuine, tough filly and needs every yard of the mile and a half if they go a good gallop.
All right, that's interesting, isn't it? So a big price, but a filly going forward and certainly bred to be running at this level. Let's move on, if you don't mind, Jessie. In the maiden, a horse that hasn't shown a great deal so far, nursery, I should say, now moving into it. Slick Chick, what do we know about this one?
In the nursery, look, she had a nice run the first run, and then the last couple of runs have been a bit disappointing. But we think she was growing a bit, and I think she's grown now, and she seems to be working well. And so hopefully that she'll run a big race.
Yes, all right, OK, so unexposed, but maybe moving into the right level. Now, I'm looking down at this one because I need your pronunciation of your runner in the maiden at 5:25, Jessie. I even looked back at the video to see what Jerry Hanlon called it, and I'm still none the wiser. I want to say Benetois.
Benetois, yes, that'll do.
All right, got it.
Yeah, Benetois, Benetotti, Benetois.
Winner, hopefully.
Well, she had one run last year. She was very unlucky. She got a bit interfered with at the 5.5 down and stayed on very strongly to finish second. I'm hoping she'll run a big race on Saturday. She's
fit and ready to go, though, Jessie, is she?
She is. We've been bringing her along very quietly. She's quite a big filly. Did a bit of growing in the spring, and so we've been coming along quietly.
Lovely. All right, well, Jessie, it's a sterling year. It's always a pleasure to deal with you and your team. Keep it going, will you?
Do my best.
Great stuff. That's Jessica Harrington for you viewers here on What a Shout. Always an absolute pleasure with some massive chances this weekend. Right, let's pick the bones out of the form of the big races on Saturday we've chosen for you. Don't worry, Jumps fans, you're going to be included at market raising along the way, but we must go to Newbury for the 150 mile 2 listed race. Cadillac, Pat, hoping to burn them off. Always seems to be near the top of the market, this horse.
Yeah, he has a huge degree of hype about him, hasn't he? When he won first time out as a juvenile, a lot of people fancied him for the 2,000 guineas. He ran well in the Dewhurst, he's run well in America, and he ran very well at Royal Ascot last time. Of course, he was bought at the Ascot sales, ran a few days later, and ran a really mighty race. Now, it's a Group 3. He's got a £3 penalty, so he has to concede £3 in weight away to Northam. And, on the adjusted all official ratings, there's only £3 between all 5, so it's not like he's got packets in hand. But the one thing about him, he does come here with excellent recent form, which you couldn't really say that about the other 4. Desert Encounter, we've not seen this season. Finest Sound was dreadful last time. Grosser Jack hasn't quite done it yet on his German form. And Tasman Bay ran off far too quickly last time out. So if recent form floats your boat, you can only look at Cadillac. I suppose he'll win. He's round about 11.08. I keep looking at Desert Encounter, and the reason he's a 10-year-old, which isn't normally what I'd be looking at, but David Simcoe horses are absolutely flying at the moment. He won the Bunbury Cup. His horses are really, really well, he was telling me. And of course, he won the Bunbury Cup with an 8-year-old in Blessem, so he can repeat the fate with Desert Encounter. He's one to maybe have a look at, but it does all point to Cadillac, purely on recent form. All right, Pat, thanks very much then. OK, yeah, beaten in the Wolverton then. What do we make of that form? We've seen Regal Reality, who's making his seasonal debut, come up and run to the same mark at Sandown.
Yeah, having missed a break as well. Probably should have won at Sandown. So, I think the form is decent.
OK.
I mean, on official figures, there literally is nothing between them. Racing Post ratings, 4 out of 5 are joint top.
Give us some help.
So it is hard. Exactly as Pat said, he's the one with recent form. The other one with recent form is Grosser Jack. But I mean, she was staying on over over. It is a he, isn't it?
It is a he.
Yeah, sorry. He was staying on over a mile and a half on soft ground last time. Like, you know what I mean? And there's plenty of stamina there. He's a mile and 2 round Newbury on fast ground. Going to be for him. So
I was just checking the Racing Post app for genitals then, and I found some.
Found some genitals. That's an interesting one, isn't it? Anyway, and the other 3 haven't, you know, well, Finest Sound and Tasman Bay both ran poorly last time, and I can see the case for Desert Encounter. I think Cadillac's the most likely winner, but it wouldn't surprise me if something else won, because it's that tight.
They spent 500 grand. 500 grand?
500
grand. We're coming right heads together. They spent 500 grand on Cadillac at the Goff sale on the eve of Royal Ascot. They spent 700 grand on Grosser Jack. And you remember he was the chap that William Aggis took to Dubai earlier in the week, earlier in the year, that got injured. And we tried to speak to Haggis that day, and he was livid because it had all gone wrong. I think if he comes back to that German Derby form last year, I think he probably outclassed these. I think.
Yeah, he's potentially, you know, he is potentially the best horse in the race. He hasn't shown it here yet. But like I said, it was just that staying on over a mile and a half last time on softish ground, and you're coming back to what's going to be almost certainly a tactically run race
on quicker
over
ground.
a mile and 2 on quick.
That's the worry, I think. Yeah, but he's the one. Look, this isn't a head down. That's the Bet365 Stevenson Stakes. Let's go to the Bet365 Hackwood Stakes, or a mile and 2 down to 6 furlongs. Pat Cooney, this does look wide open as well.
Runners in the race, given the fast ground at the moment. But Happy Romance beat Diligent Harry narrowly in this race last year. I think there was only 5 or 6 runners in the race that day. But she won well that day. She was only 8th in the July Cup. I say only 8th, but, we could give her a pass on that. She's just about favourite at the moment. I think the stats gurus in the office say to me, you need a middle to high number, certainly in this race and the Super Sprint coming up. But she's there in 10. I don't think she's an absolute bargain, really, around about 4-1. I think it's a deep old race. Man of Promise is interesting. He was 8th in the King's Stand over 5. You can say better over this trip, but he's got a £3 penalty. It's just one of those races where I think you could get something winning around about 8 or 10-1. My eye is drawn to Dubawi Legend, who's ironically never run over 6 furlongs before. Ran okay in the Jersey. He was 2nd, I think, in the Dewhurst. It's Hugo Palmer, first time cheap pieces. Hugo, of course, has got Flaming Rib, who's a pacey horse himself. I'd imagine he might have worked Dubawi Legend with him and likes what he sees. So he's drawn 14 of 14. Maybe that'll do for me, and just take a chance he might step up for coming back in trip.
Pat, not totally sure who's going to be handing the prize to then on Saturday. If you were giving it out, who
interesting that Dubai Legend. I was looking at him. He's not really bred to be a sprinter, and he's never tried 6 furlongs, but he shapes like he might be one.
If there's going to be one horse in there, I agree, that's not shown his mettle yet.
He's very keen, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
You know what I mean? So he might be. He is interesting. I just thought Man of Promise was the one that was underrated. I mean, this is a horse that went over odds on for a Group 1 in Dubai 2 starts ago. And the only run he's had since was over 5 furlongs at Ascot. Now, we know the strength of Godolphin in the sprint division, but they had to split them up at Ascot. They had Naval Crown and Creative Force, who had more recent form over 7 furlongs and further. Naval Crown's won over a mile. So they sort of had to go over the Platinum Jubilee, and they finished 1-2. So the one, the odd one out was Man of Promise.
Yes.
We'll have to drop him down to 5 furlongs. He just found it too quick. He did actually beat everything that was drawn on the outside of him that day.
He was marooned in the middle as well, wasn't he?
King's Lynn, who's a pretty solid yardstick. The form of when he absolutely thrashed a Case of You at Dubai in March is really good. Now that was overturned by the winner in the Group 1 race afterwards. But even that form's pretty decent, and even with the penalty, I think he's probably the one to beat. Class-wise, he's got to prove it in Britain. But I thought, around about the 6-1 mark, I thought that was very fair.
Yeah, he's one of these Godolphin horses that has won in Britain, then spends most of his time.
Well, yeah, when he hasn't, in
the desert.
He hadn't been to Britain for a couple of years, I don't think.
Happy Romance was ahead of him when he was 3rd in that Group 1 at Meydan. But I come down on him as well, Kills. I thought he was more likely to strip fitter for that. On the train in, this was the one race this weekend where I watched pretty much every video because I just wasn't sure. I wanted to be with Minzal, but I was a bit underwhelmed with Minzal at Ascot. He didn't look like a horse that was loving life.
He's a flatter to deceive horse, isn't he? I think he might be a bit soft.
He is.
One at a bigger price that was interesting, hasn't run this season, is Chill. Does have a very good record fresh.
I half thought you might have gone for Method because I know it's a horse that you like.
I do like him, and I backed him each way at Sandown last time. And
Fella's had a trouble, but the gap appeared.
Yeah, he had little bit of trouble to Gamble Responsibly. I actually thought he was lucky to finish third. I thought there were horses more unlucky than he was. Now, it might be that Newbury, a flat 6 furlongs is bang on perfect for him.
Yeah.
I thought you might appreciate the drop down and trip that Saturday last time, but he did seem to find it all happening a little bit quick for him. Yeah. And he did look very good when he won. He was a 2-year-old, didn't he? So there's possibilities at a big price, but I just thought to myself, maybe his level is just a little bit below this.
Fair enough. So Man of Promise to show exactly what the open he's got.
Yeah,
all right, okay, we're agreeing there, myself and Gills. Okay. Who wants to go over a fence? Yes, it's absolutely scorching hot, but it's market raisins, time to shine in the summer sun. It's the summer plate then, Pat, worth 55 grand. Wide open heat, last year's winners in it. We've got some progressive trial winners. Where are you looking?
Well, the head of the market at the moment is Mortlack of Fergal O'Brien, and progressive 7-year-old, lots of ones by his name. But you do try and pick holes in these horses, don't you? And as winner friendly as he is, they've only been winning 3-runner, 4-runner races, so he's going to line up at the start on Saturday and think, hang on, where are all the others come from? So this is hardest task so far. I'd imagine Frankie de Burle, given that he won it last year and he's just £2 higher this time around. The Bowen team have won this a couple of times before. I actually think that might end up going off favourite, really, because the Bowen team are always popular. Wide open races, we have laid a few. I mean, Texard won well enough at Uttoxeter the other day. Again, just a 3-runner race, I think it was. So it's going to be difficult for some of these horses. My eye's drawn to right at the bottom, number 14, Rostello, for the good Dr. Richard Newland. Now, he won by 14 lengths last time out, and he only went up £6. Now, obviously, it's a step up in grade for him, but he's only sitting there off 10 stone 2. Killian Leonard claiming another 5 off him. There's been a few quid around for him. We were 14 at the start of the week. He's around about 10 at the moment. This is a dead tricky race. Do you go for the progressive ones who have been winning small fields, or the more proven horses like Frankie, Man of the Mountain, those types? I'll just take a chance right at the bottom with Rostello, though, but very tricky, this one.
All right, you heard it. We've got a couple of Irish raiders coming over. Peregrine Run and Rapid Response. We heard from Jessica Harrington. Not without a chance, that one. Peregrine Run, I can't believe he's still in training. He seems to have been around forever. He's done me some favours, but I'll have to take him on. I thought last year's winner might be prime for this, I have to say. I'll tell you why before you give us our case, Kills. He's almost the exact same pattern. He won the same race at Uttoxeter before having another run. That was behind the rejuvenated Jerry's back over 3 mile 2. Thanks, Kills. And he just till 2 out, he's bang there. He just doesn't quite get home. It's almost the exact same prep. He's got a couple more pounds on his back. He's carrying more weight because it was a better race last year. If he gets into it, there's loads of pace. Everything likes to get on with it in this race. That was a problem. La Dominale, I thought, was interesting. The trial winner of Seamus Mullins, Marder's Promise. He won really well there last time, but he has been exposed off higher marks before. Last year's winner will do for me.
Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, nobody targets this race more than Peter Bowen either, does he? Frankie de Burle was his 7th winner since the race was first run in 1995, so he would be his first 2-time winner, but he does look like he's been absolutely primed for it. You wouldn't be surprised at all. I don't like Mortlack just at the price because he's been impressive, but he's been winning small field races, dominating small, it's one of those, let's see what you can do.
8 runners, 4
he has been
runners,
diving, he has been
runners.
Jumping violently right as well. So, I mean, this could be the right way round for him, and he could be the young improver. But I just thought Man of the Mountain has better form in handicap company, in better handicaps than these. He was beaten less than 6 lengths in the Paddy Power off a £7 higher mark in November, had 2 poor runs afterwards, but had a wind operation, and that second to D Machine last time was a hell of a lot better and suggestive that the wind op has worked. So I think he's been primed for this. He's won a grade 2 off the same mark as this last spring at Cheltenham and won it very easily. So I thought if he's been primed for this. He's the best handicap horse in the race if he comes back to his best. And I don't think he was that far off it when he was second last time.
Yeah, you have to think with this time in the calendar, 50 grand chase, they've all been.
Well, he's always wanted really good. He's always wanted really good ground as well. Yeah, they've always said that about him. So Hopefully, this will be it.
A jumping hat on then. You could tell that Kills have been quite enjoying switching to that. What about yourselves out there? Have you found winner of the summer plate? Get them in below. We love to read them. But Pat, we must now go for the Weatherbys Super Sprint. 2-year-olds over 5 furlongs. The burn up. The Hannons have won it 11 times since they basically invented the race when Lyric Fantasy won it all those years ago. Has there been any love in the market for theirs? There's 2 hot pots to my eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. There's Maria Branwell and Rogue Spirit, and they've just dominated the market. They're bang there on official ratings, but the stats fellas in the office say this. Look, forget the size of the field. This is a dead easy race to crack. You just back the Richard Hannon, Rod Millman, or Richard Fahey horse, and you must have a middle to high draw. The only downside with that is the Hannon, Millman, and Fahey team. They've got 9 of the 21 runners, and most of them seem to have good draws, so it's a little bit trickier. You'd have to say Maria Branwell. She's the only horse rated 100 in this race at the adjusted figures. And the Queen Mary form looks ever so good, doesn't it? She's drawn in 11. If you're a Maria Branwell fan, you've got a lot to be optimistic about. Whether you want to be backing her 11 of 4, that's up to you. Rogue Spirit has been popular in the market as well. That's 91. He's rated behind 100, Maria Branwell. That's another good draw, drawn in 18. Now, when he was second at Beverley, the third horse, of course, was the Riddler, who went on to win at Royal Ascot. So you could say he's very good. And they do look to be a bit clear on official figures, don't they? I know there was optimism behind Swift Asset of Richard Hannon. That's drawn in stall number 1. Now, maybe that could defy logic and win from stall number 1. I think if you want to just keep it simple, you just have to say Maria Branwell. That's the best form in the race. How many of these would be run that well at Royal Ascot? But 21 runners will be each way first 5. There'll be some big prices on offer, so don't be afraid to lob in a big one. But make sure it's drawn middle to high.
Yeah, absolutely. 10 of the last 10, basically. So when Swift came out of the machine on Thursday, the Annans would have been crying about that one, I think. Now, anyone that reads Kills this week would have seen super headline. You basically said she just wins, doesn't she, the Fav?
Well, yeah, I think so. I mean, I hate doing this as well. You know me. I mean, I get the short price ones wrong all the time.
We got it right with Flotus last week.
But when you look at it, it's quite simple. She's run 3rd in the Queen Mary Stakes. She's run to an RPR of 99. Now, given the weight she's carrying, for any of the horses in here that have got to give her weight, and plenty have, they've got to be the best horse to run in this race since Tiggy Wiggy. Now, I'm not seeing that amongst them. You look at the past RPRs of the winner of this: 89, 91, 88, 81 in the last 4. Then there was 100 of Richard Farrell. You go all the way down. Nothing has run to better than 100. Now, Maria Bramwell ran an RPR of 99 at Ascot. If she repeats that and somebody gives her weight, they've got to go over that. It doesn't happen very often. So all she's got to do is be as good as she was then, and then somebody's got to put up a really good performance in this race.
I'm a big fan of her. I backed her in the Queen Mary. I think she probably just about wins, but there is one at a price that I've found. I thought that Dare to Hope was interesting for Richard Fahey, who targets this race as well. He was beaten over 6 at Ripon last time, and that form isn't going to be good enough. However, if you go back to his 5 furlong form at Nottingham, when he made his debut, that was a good race. He quite comprehensively beat Rocket Romney, who's come out and won, very well in listed company at Sandown since, placed at Royal Ascot as well. He's got a high draw at around about 16s, so about 365 at the time of filming. I couldn't put anyone off that. I think I'd have him on top.
I can see him. Well, I mean, look, you're betting in what is an uncompetitive race, really, because a lot of these will have no hope.
I always loved this race.
Some firms are betting 4 and 5.
Do you remember last year? It was a proper messy race, wasn't it? We've really fancied it. I can't remember the name.
Well, that's where you're getting the price, isn't it? See, I'm adamant that if you had if only the first 5 in the betting were running in a 5-runner race, then Maria Bramwell would be odds on. But the reason you're getting the price that you're going to get because there's loads of other horses in the race, and you could get trouble.
What price was she at the start of the week?
She was 7-2, I think, first show. I think she's edging towards 9-4 now, and I think she might dip under 2-1.
Yeah, I bump into a lot of people, Kills, on the racecourse these days, or wherever I am out and about, and say, really like the show. And I wish you would tell us, like Kills does, at the start of the week, what prices were. I think we're going to start concentrating on that a little bit more. So 7-2, if you were early doors like Kills, about Maria Bramwell, could well go off 2-1, maybe even shorter. That's the super
Just
sprint.
log on a Monday night and have a look.
There you go. Absolutely. It's all there, isn't it? All right. So, final race of the day. Let's pop over to the Curragh, shall we, Pat Cooney? All about Emily Upjohn. It's the Irish Oaks. She was around about 2s on when I was looking with you.
Yes, 2-1 on. And, of course, the Tuesday, the Oaks winner who beat her that day at Epsom is the non-runner in the race. And, of course, Tuesday had run in the Irish Derby since. So, her task is a little bit easier. It's the dreaded 8 runners, so there'll be each way opportunities around. And Magical Lagoon, I think she was about 10-1 on Monday morning. And everyone was kind of thinking she was going to be the each-way horse of the race because she was good enough to be in the first three on anyway, Tuesday or no Tuesday. But she's now levelled off around about 4-1, and rightly so. I can see them finishing in price order from 1-8, actually. Emily Upjohn beating Magical Lagoon, and maybe something like Care de Godio of Gerline's Colin Keane third. But I suppose she'll win, but I was looking to take her on at the start of the week with Tuesday.
All right. Now, that's interesting, isn't it? You could sense in Pat's voice there that there was a little bit of, shall we try and take her on at that price?
Yeah, I can't see it, to be honest. I mean, I don't, you know, after what Tuesday did in the Irish Derby, you're not surprised she's not running. I mean, you know, I'd have struggled to fancy her for this. I think, you know, Emily Upton did look very, very good at Epsom. Was she unlucky? I don't think that's absolutely proven that she was, because Tuesday actually came from behind her in the last couple of furlongs. But she, you know, she has by far run away the best form. I like Magical Lagoon. I think she's, you know, she's solid and tough. Like, you know, and I think it's going to be a real struggle for anything else to get involved. I did have high hopes for Toy early in the season, but she's blown it twice in France. You know, there needs a travelling excuse for her to come back and get involved. So I do think it will be a 1-2 in that order. I'm struggling to really build up any enthusiasm for the others.
Well, Magical Lagoon is a half-sister to Novelist, who won at the King George, of course, and is the Ribblesdale winner. We've heard from Jessie. You have to think, looking at that, she had a great attitude that day. She looked beaten, didn't she, by Cecil Road. History was in third, who, again, you think, OK, maybe not the form there, but the longest straight of the Curragh will probably help Magical Lagoon. On a line through the horse that Emily Upjohn beat in the Musadora, the name of her is called Life of Dreams, of course, 5 lengths second to Emily Upjohn. She was smashed by Magical Lagoon. Now, I know that it's hard to take it too literally, that form, but I thought the 4-1 dangled about Magical Lagoon was one of the each-way bets of the day.
Yeah, couldn't argue with that. Yeah, I can't see it being out of the 2, really, let alone the 3. So
that's the forecast,
so,
right?
Yeah,
right.
That's the cast for me.
All right, and there will be a without market, so Magical Lagoon to create some waves, but Emily Upjohn, we still think she might end up in the Arc. Nap time here on this classic weekend. Not Emily Upjohn. No, you'll have to go to the last race at Newbury for Dave Orton's nap. Yes, cheeky, I know. But
there's no runners in it.
The 4:05 Keels, Julia Augusta. And again, there's hardly any runners in that, to be honest. But we spoke to Roger Varian about his recent Thirsk winner a couple of weeks ago. He had a twinkle in his eye. I think she'll outclaw. She will be short enough, Keels. But I thought the most likely winner of the weekend was probably her. And there's one at the top for Godolphin that hopefully will keep the price up.
Right, oh, fair enough. Having a double with Maria Bramwell then. I mean,
nice.
I do think it's pretty much straightforward point and shoot job. I just want to mention one other horse running in Ireland though, in the Scurry handicap, the legend that is Mr. Wagyu.
Yes, John Quinn's burner.
There is there is no better example of a horse that just comes to hand at a certain time of year. He is 0 from 35 when not running in June or July. And he's 14 from 28 when running in June or July.
He's been running well this season as well.
Mental, yeah. Well, he's won 2. He won at Epsom. He was 4th to Rohan in the Wokingham. He's about 11-2. It'd just be rude not to back him for the Scurry. So put him on your list. It's just an amazing stat, isn't it? 50% strike. Given that he runs in handicaps, like, you know what I mean? 50% strike rate. I mean, fields anything from 7 to 25.
Great to see some British raiders going over there, of course, for the big prizes at the Curragh.
So he's got a shot. That's 235 cover.
All right, so you've been given a double. You've given one in Ireland as the next best from Kills as well. Pat Cooney, complete the set, please.
Yes, we're off to Chester for the 4:55 post-impressionist trained by William Haggis. All the rage at Royal Ascot this filly. Went off a well-back 4-1 favourite. Now, he didn't run very well, I will say that, but that was a mile and a half. He's back down to a 1 2 miles where he showed better form prior to Royal Ascot, and he's still off the same mark of 89. Now, when you consider his prior run to that, when he was second to Eldarov, who is a Group 1 horse. He ran in a Group 1 race in France on Thursday. Admittedly, he got beat, but he's a Royal Ascot winner. That was over 10. Elder probably wants further, perhaps a little bit flattered. But come on, one's a Group horse, and this fella's still there lurking off 89. So it's definitely a well-handicapped horse. The drop-in trip, Charlie Chester, the racecourse, that should suit him. I think he'll go well.
Believe it or not, it's the one part of the world that looks rather cool at the moment as well, Chester, so you should get near good ground over there. I think that's what he wants. We might remember, spoke to William Aggis about him earlier in the season as well. He said the mum loves slot, but the fact they're running him here, they want the one before they go and have another group race. I think some strong tips for you then. There are the naps. Well, sadly, that's all we've got time for then on this weekend's What a Shout. Thank you for joining us, as ever. Thank you, Paul Kealy. Keep cool now, man.
Yeah, will do. It's going to be, relatively okay Saturday, isn't it? So, this could be a day for just sitting in a pub and watching a few races, and God knows what I'm going to do Monday and Tuesday, looking at that weather.
You're thinking of playing golf on Monday,
I am playing golf, but we've ordered the buggies, don't worry about that.
Nice knowing you, Keels. Great stuff, all right. Great to have you, Pat, as well. Is she going to let you home this weekend, Pat?
Yes, well, I'm at Newbury Saturday. Craig David after racing, so I'll probably be there bopping away with all the other dance gurus, and then hopefully back home on Saturday evening, early Saturday evening probably.
Well, not if you've got about 3 hours to wait after the 4:05 until Craig David comes and drops his stuff. All right, enough said about that. Thanks to Jessica Harrington and the team for joining us. Don't forget, of course, to download the free must-have Racing Post app. You can do it on the App Store, the Google Play Store. Don't forget to gamble responsibly this weekend, please. Loads of sport out there. British Open as well. Who's on the winner of that? Enjoy it all.